Hi, I'm the Guitar Trooper, YouTube's favorite old guy. It's the morning of Wednesday, July 22nd, 1970. As is his habit, Herb Alpert, half-owner of the relatively tiny label A&M Records, checks the Billboard Hot 100 chart, which is published on Wednesday and dated for the week ending on the following Saturday, which in this case is July 25th. The Hot 100 is a chart that combines statistics of sales and radio play to arrive at a ranking of published recordings, and it is accepted by many as a valid barometer of a song's popularity. A&M Records was founded by Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss with an initial investment of $500. Their model was to be focused on signing artists rather than entertainers, which is exactly what spawned the signing of this act. Herb believes in their talent and had been watching this particular single ever since May 14th, its release date. It had hit the Billboard Hot 100 chart on the week of June 20th at number 56 and had been steadily rising every week. 56, 37, 14, 7, number 3, and he has a feeling today is the day. He is right. He doesn't have to scan the page. It's at the top. He gleefully grabs a pen and scribbles a note to his newest artist, whose first single hadn't even broken the top 40. Hit songs come in several flavors. They may be off-the-wall novelties that, even with a follow-up or two, fade to obscurity in a few weeks.
In that spring of the bloody red bear of Germany.
They may be solidly in step with the current style and stay on because of that connection. And then there are a few glistening hit songs that sometimes usher in an entire movement because of a fresh sound. And they define their own path. This is such a recording. It's late 1968, A&M Studios, Hollywood, California. Herb Alpert is considering a follow-up to his 1968 Burt Bacharach and Hal David song, This Guy's in Love with You, recorded in April of that year. Herb Alpert is in the control room at A&M Records with chief engineer Larry Levine, listening to a playback of his latest vocal recording. Herb had decided upon an upbeat, Latin-style love song framed around the popular Tijuana brass sound. He feels good about it.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
He turns to Larry. How do I sound singing this song? Larry was a great friend. Without hesitation, he looks directly at Herb and says, "You sound terrible." With that, Herb Alpert shelves the recording. He said later that it was then when he decided that he was not a singer. Herb's version of the song isn't released. Then in early 1970, when A&M's newest artist signed in April of '69 is in need of a hit, when their first single, Ticket to Ride, was a tepid peak at number 54, and amongst murmurings of dropping the duo from A&M altogether, Herb believes in the act and thinks that Richard Carpenter will know what to do with the song. The lead sheet, a studio document with only the melody, chords, and lyrics, will end up in the hands of Richard Carpenter, with pretty much a carte blanche to arrange it as he wishes. It's February 1970. Herb's only stipulation for Richard is from Burt Bacharach, that he retain a double quintuplet at the end of the chorus. Other than that, he is free to arrange the song as he feels is best for the Carpenters. The song itself isn't new. It had been recorded in 1963 by Richard Chamberlain.
Birds suddenly appear.
And in 1964 by Dionne Warwick.
Birds suddenly appear.
And in 1964 by Dusty Springfield.
Birds suddenly appear.
And in 1968 by Herb Alpert, although he still hadn't released his version. So this will make the 5th time that the song will be recorded, but the difference will be the musical arrangement instincts of Richard Carpenter. This was going to be his arrangement, and he tackles it without referring to any of the past arrangements. It was going to be the best he could make it, and it would be the acid test for the career of the act known as Carpenters. Richard sits down at his Wurlitzer electric piano and goes to work arranging Close to You for him and his sister Karen. The first order of business is to raise the key from Bert's original A flat to Karen's key, C. The original time signature is straight time at 68 beats per minute, but Richard hears it differently as a slow shuffle, which syncopates the lyrics against the rhythm track. He writes an intro, the first part strictly a piano and then mimicked with a xylophone. He writes a trumpet solo for the middle of the song with the key modulated up to C sharp, and decides on an outro using a 6-voice harmony repeating Close to You with a preceding vocalized wah over 5 vocal changes, and then adds a false ending. The final arrangement is quite different from that on the lead sheet, a shuffle at 88.5 beats per minute in the key of C. Tuesday, March 24, 1970, A&M Studios, Hollywood, California, Studio C, 11 p.m., recording equipment, a Studer A80 16-track master recorder. Scheduled for tonight are recording of the rhythm tracks for Close to You and I Kept on Loving You. Close to You is first up. On the first take are session players Larry Knechtel on piano, Joe Osborne on bass guitar, and Karen on drums. But the initial take doesn't sound right to Richard or Herb, and he has them do another. He is still dissatisfied. Karen is a competent live drummer, but a different touch is needed for this song in the studio, and Herb feels that it needs more of a groove. Carefully, Herb suggests that contract drummer Hal Blaine carry the percussion. Karen already knew that Hal and several other session guys were on the contract sheet, so she is agreeable. Hal Blaine plays drums, and Richard takes over on piano for take 3 of the rhythm track. At Hal's suggestion, a click track is used to help Richard stay on beat and not rush the tempo. This first session ends at 2 a.m. on March 25th. April 13th, 8 p.m. Orchestra instrument overdubs are scheduled. Richard had written the middle solo expecting to have Herb play it, but Herb isn't available. He instead works with veteran Chuck Findley to play the solo on a flugelhorn, and then, once the right approach is defined, has him overdub the solo twice more, making it a triple layer track. The orchestra overdubs for this and 2 other songs on the album are completed by 11 p.m. Vocal overdubs are recorded, including the harmony parts, with all 12 voices being done by Karen and Richard in an overdubbing masterpiece designed by Richard. This is how they did it. Based upon a 4-part harmony, the pair first simultaneously recorded the 2 outside parts in the harmony, and then 2 more overdubs for each part, resulting in 6 voices for those 2. The process was then repeated for the next 2 inner parts of the chord. The end result was 4-part, 12-voice harmony, all created by Richard and Karen Carpenter. By the time all of the sessions, including vocal and instrumental overdubs, are completed, Close to You consumes 47 takes to produce the final master tape. Herb Alpert is overjoyed with the final master of Close to You, so much so that he plays it over the phone for Burt Bacharach. Burt is mesmerized. It is so much better than both the Richard Chamberlain version and the one that Burt himself had produced for Dionne Warwick that he is stunned. Even so, Close to You could be either a flop because of the soft style or a massive hit because of its freshness and musical virtuosity. They will soon know. The single is released in slightly truncated, but still a somewhat lengthy for AM radio, 3 minutes and 40 seconds on May 14, 1970. It hits the Hot 100 chart just over a month later on the week of June 19th at number 56 and begins a relentless 6-week climb to number 1 on the week of July 25th, staying there until being bumped to number 2 by Bread's Make It With You on the week of August 22nd. But it remains in the top 10 for 11 weeks. It ultimately makes the top 10 on 11 charts worldwide and hits number 1 on 9 of those. Not only did it launch the Carpenters' career, but their success provided a huge cash flow to A&M Records, allowing the studio to support other acts who made more hit records. I have said many times on this channel that the music industry eats its young, and the Carpenters are a prime example. It's impossible to discuss the Carpenters' career without referencing the unbelievable tragedy of Karen Carpenter's struggle with anorexia nervosa and Richard's struggle with insomnia, panic attacks, depression, and Quaalude addiction. By 1976, the constant pressure of the glaring fame, TV appearances, and the write, record, promote, and tour cycle was affecting the physical and mental health of both of them, and it became too much. In 1978, the pair stopped touring altogether. Karen's weight was about 90 pounds, and her condition was still undiagnosed and uncontrolled. In 1979, Richard, who was by then barely able to function, went into rehab to conquer his addiction, and he succeeded. Yet, despite his encouragement, Karen refused to seek help, and her condition worsened. Complications resulting from Karen's condition, which was not a well-known syndrome in 1983, caused her death in the February of that year while she was at her parents' home. 8 months after Karen's death, on October 12, 1983, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was unveiled celebrating the Carpenters. Richard Carpenter will be 78 in October of 2024. He still lives in California, is a Mopar automobile enthusiast, and has 5 children. They sometimes perform as a family. As one looks back to April 1969, when the co-owner of a tiny, privately owned record label signed a brother and sister duo act after every other label had turned them down, would we still be hearing as many Carpenters hits, or would we be hearing them at all? Hey guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do me a favor and click on that like, thumbs up icon and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You can also use comments to suggest video subject matter regarding pop music and pop music culture between the 1950s and the 1970s. A great thing that you can also do to support the channel is just sharing the video with your friends. Just click on the arrow icon and pick the destination person and help us expand the audience. Speaking of supporting the channel, this would be a great time to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. It's easy and it's free, and it lets YouTube know that you support this channel. Just click on the subscribe button and be sure to select the top notification bell on that drop-down menu so that you will be notified whenever I post new content for the public. If you would like the opportunity to see content a few days earlier when it is viewable only to channel members, you can upgrade your subscription and become one. Just click on the join icon and follow the instructions. It's not free to upgrade, but it's as cheap as YouTube would let me make it. Thanks again for watching.